And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. What is going on, MyaVibez? How's everything?
What is going on? Part two, and I'm ready.
No, that's good. That's good. I'm glad you are. I'm glad you are. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome everybody to the Hopeful Romantic Podcast, where we believe in love, but we know that they're fighting an uphill battle right now. So what we want to do is we want to cover the topics that make sure that we hit on so that you have a little easier time navigating these waters. You know, like they say, the dating pool has piss in it, and with the chlorine, we're just trying to clear it up for you. I am your boy, Mr. Dropping Dimes, aka Dropping Dimes, and I am a feminist with my chauvinist tendencies. And I have MyaVibez with me, and she always has a great opinion and a great insight on a lot of things we're talking about. Today, we're going to start off addressing part 2 of a topic we covered last week. And MyaVibez, I want you to do the intro. I want you to let them know. Talk to them. Let them know.
So last week, I think I was a bit misunderstood in that folks thought that I was taking two sides of the argument. And I want to put that into perspective first and foremost. The way that I perceived the conversation or the topic is this, okay? We have a social responsibility to our Latino and Black community and all minority groups. And when we start to have conversations that in some way, shape, or form breaks down the image of a woman within our society, we have to be very careful about what we say, okay? We've already experienced the downfall of the father figure within our communities, okay? So to entertain conversations that cast doubt over what a woman's role is has a domino effect that could be everlasting within our communities. So that's really where I was coming from. And when I said, why are women not being strong enough to argue against this kind of topic, period? Like, why is this a conversation that even has to come to the table when we know the importance of what a woman brings into a man's life from the early stages of his life, right? The first words that a man murmurs is mom. Hopefully, if that's, if he was fortunate enough to be in that, come into a world where there was a strong mother in his life. Okay. So I don't want to be misinterpreted when I say certain things. It's more so coming from a humanitarian community standpoint. Okay. I, as personally, and I think we've had this conversation before, Mike, I will never take a position of casting doubt over a woman's worth, okay? Never will I do that because number one, I'm a woman. Number two, I'm a mom, or rather, number one, I'm a mom. Number two, I'm a woman, whichever way you want to take that. And all I'm saying is, in order to get the message across, we have to be very careful as to what type of doubts we cast, okay? Because words are important, and we know that. I'm certainly learning that from Mike, week after week, right? He's not only my brother, he's my mentor. He's the one that's getting me involved in these podcasts. So I just want to say that we need to, as a community, as women, be extremely careful what we allow as a message when we are talking about what do women bring to the table. I would like to just bring a positive, light to it. Okay. So we're talking about what they bring to the table. Women bring strength. Women bring empowerment. Women bring so many wonderful things. We're nurturers by nature, okay? We are not just, born in that role, but we are nurtured by our mothers to become those women to then ultimately complete the jobs that other mothers have done to a certain extent. Okay. We also provide the vehicle for men to expand their lineage. So when we talk about what does a woman bring to the table, let's kick it back a little bit and realize if we're talking, if we're saying what does a woman bring, it's an all-encompassing word that includes moms, daughters, sisters, foster mothers, adopted mothers. It includes aunts, it includes a lot of people. So what do we bring to the table? I'll give you the floor.
And we don't disagree on what you're saying. But again, it's the same topic that we had last week. You're working in an idealistic world. In a perfect world, what you're saying is absolutely true, right? But unfortunately, it is an X factor in this subject that you can't control, that already thinks the way they think, that's already moving in the direction that they're moving in, and that's men. Unfortunately, you can't dictate how these men already think, okay? So the message can't be, oh, you shouldn't, whatever. No, the message should be, don't entertain that guy. Don't entertain that guy. Value yourself enough to say, if you're asking me the question, then you don't see the value. And if you don't see the value, I don't want to be with you, right? And the thing we were having last week, the topic we were discussing last week was, you were saying how women shouldn't entertain that, they don't see that, oh my God. And you basically were telling me how
women should not entertain.
They're weak. Like if they were weak-minded women, or like if they weren't strong women because they fell for these type of men. Oh, what kind of woman would fall for a man? And I'm trying to explain, what I was trying to explain was, you don't see it coming. It's not the enemy you know, it's the one you don't that gets you in these type of topics. Okay? It's when women are dealing with men that came in the form of everything they've ever wanted. They showed up to their doorstep with roses, and they were, check the box, whatever it is you like, that's what this person appeared as. They were shapeshifters. They appeared as this strong, good-looking, whatever it is that fits your box. Okay? So you fell for them. And you said, oh my God, I really like this guy. I like all his attributes. He's amazing. Only for him to look at you one day and say, I don't see what you add to my life in that direction as far as the commitment. I don't see it. Mm-hmm. Then, you see what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say. I'm like, when you're evaluating the situation, don't date these men with the picture that you have in your mind. Don't date the man with the picture you painted, because that's what women will do. Women will meet a man and they will paint a picture around him. And they will picture your life with him and say, this is what it's going to look like. Okay? And when the picture doesn't come out that way, it's like when you go to a paint and sip.
I don't think that women do that. I think that women paint a picture and then try to fit in a guy and see if he fits.
Same difference.
No, I don't think
5 cents in one hand, 5 pennies in the other.
Because it's you're making a plan, right? You have a vision for yourself, okay? And you meet somebody and you're like, okay, you might fit into this equation, okay? You might fit in. There's a thought process behind it. I don't think that women just go around, with rosy-colored glasses without really giving some thought to the process.
I do. I think some women are in love with being in love. And I think they do. And I think men do it too.
There are women like that. There are men like that.
Right. But we're talking about women, so let's concentrate on them. I think what women will do is they'll meet a guy. He's a square peg. They're a round hole. It doesn't fit. And they will sit there for a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year, and try to force that square hole in their round peg. Because in their mind, they said, if he has all these attributes, and that's what I want, it must fit. Only to find out this man is not perfect. He's very imperfect.
No,
And
man.
once you start to see the
They're
flaws,
wonderful, and they're an asset.
right? And once you start to see the flaws in his character, all of a sudden, this isn't going to work, or he lied to me. When the truth is, did he ever really lie? He showed you who he was with his actions. Unfortunately, I'm not blaming anybody for wanting to be in love, which is one of the things I want to lead into for this week, actually. And I really wanted to talk about some of the things when it comes to that, because I find that a lot of people, I'm not sure people know. Well, I want to hear from you. What is love to you? Describe love? What is love?
Oh, gosh. For me, personally, it is compassion. It is synergy. It's commonality. It's genuinely being kind to someone because you get to the point where it just happens in you. And I don't believe that it happens instantly. I'm not one of these blind date, I fell in love with you type of people. Okay. I believe that it happens over time with communication, with transparency, with daily activity. Okay. Now, we've always had this conversation. I will say I love you to a friend, to people that come around me, to somebody that I'm dating, to just about it. I'm one of those I love you people. Okay. If I hang up with somebody that, I haven't seen from work for a long time or whatever, I'm like, girl, I love you, guy. I love you. You're amazing. My friends, the whole thing. Okay. That I love you means I love your presence. I love the fact that you're in my life, or that, the universe brought you here, and that we know each other. Okay. I love that. In case I leave this earth tomorrow, you know that you're appreciated. Okay. Now, the day I say I'm in love with you, that's a different story. Because that means that we have been through some things together over time. And I'm not talking about a year, okay? I'm talking about, you know what? We've known each other past a year. We've been through stuff together, okay? We know and understand each other's flaws. So all of those things, all of that connectivity and time and love, compassion, humanitarian spirit, all of that eventually all together is what I define as love.
All right, we have some comments. Cecibel says, we ignore the red flags. Yes, people will show you who they are. We have to believe them. Absolutely right. And she also says, love is patience. Absolutely. In the long run, that's one of the things that you need, understanding. And it leads me to my point. So I disagree with you in terms of the way you use the terms love and in love. Okay. I'm a believer that anything you can fall in, you can fall out of. Okay. And there's a specific reason why those terms are used. In love. I'm in love with you because I have this overwhelming feeling of who I think you are, who you are to me right now.
No, because by the time you fall in love with somebody, you don't have those doubts. And that's the reason why I said time.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I think it's the other way around. I think I can fall in love with you very easily. I can fall in love with the perception of you. I can fall in love with how you make me feel. I can fall in love with the temporary feelings that is emotions. It's when I see the real you, the real you, the vulnerable you. Like I always say for men, vulnerability equals love. When I see the vulnerability in that man, right? When I see the everyday of that woman, her struggles, her feelings, her emotions, right? The dark side of the person. When I see that dark part of them and I still love them, that says, I love you. See, what we're doing is you're using the word love
I think
what
it's
you're using is the word
all
love as a
relative.
blanket statement. You're using the word love as a blanket statement, like it applies to everybody equally. No. I love my daughter. I love her in one specific way, right? And in order for me to love somebody else, I can love them in a completely different, specific way. They say love and lust feel the same until it's time to make a sacrifice. Okay? You could be somebody. The thing is this, a lot of times people think that love comes in like a hurricane, right? And it's this feeling that you get. It's not. It's not. That's the chemicals in your brain telling you there's something about this person that's amazing. There's something about this person that's great. What happens when that person disappoints you? Are you going to fall out of love?
No, you don't fall out of love, because the concept of falling in love is that you're falling in love, hopefully for a lifetime, right? And there are things that happen in life that unfortunately force us to change our mind, all right? But what I'm saying to you is, okay, you're talking about using love as a blanket statement. There are different types of love. There's the love that you feel for your children. There's the love that you feel for your siblings. There's the love that you feel for your parents. There's the love that you feel for your friends and relatives and all this other stuff, right? You love those people. You love all of them in different ways and, to different degrees, but you love them. But that one special person that comes into your life at a left, who makes you feel all these different kind of emotions, who makes you question, certain things that maybe you believed in, and all of a sudden you're like, you're enlightening me to something else. Like, I love that about you. And it starts to turn into this unique sort of emotion that you fall into. I don't believe in my personal experience that you just love. No, you fall in love. Falling in love to me means you have taken the time, what Ceci said, you had the patience to go through and iron out the kinks and the details to get to a point where you're actually now saying, I have fallen in love with you.
But wait, there's couples that are together 20 years, right? And when you talk to them, and this, I wrote this in my book. In my book, I documented my neighbors, a couple of people that I spoke to, but they'll tell you the universal across the board. And I also read it in the book, The 5 Love Languages. There's also something that kind of led me to ask these questions that I asked. And it'll tell you, it'll say, I was married to my husband 35 years. Between 2015 and 2018, I hated him. But I never stopped loving him. I couldn't stand him. I didn't want to have sex with him. I didn't touch him. I didn't want to be around him like that. But guess what? I didn't. I never stopped loving him. And that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Because they fell in love at some point. Okay.
Right. And
here's what I think. Let me.
The ebb and flow of a relationship. When times are good, you fall in love. When times are bad, you learn lessons. Okay. When times are good, everything is great. When times are bad, that's when you find out if you're a team or not. That's when you find out if you guys are for real. That's when you find out if you're gonna make it. If the squeeze is worth the juice. That's when you find out. That's why I say it's the ebb and flow of a relationship. When you meet somebody, that euphoria that you feel, that dopamine or whatever chemical that is that rushes you, you're looking at this person through rose-colored glasses. That can last 1, 2 months. It can last a year. But then one day,
you fall in love.
No.
One day you fall in love.
No, you start to see. This is where we're not agreeing.
Right.
I say you fall in love first, and then you realize when that euphoria wears off, if you can still love them, because that underlying feeling is what's going to get you through the downturns of a relationship. It's going to get you to when things aren't all. Listen, I was the king of when I met somebody. For the first couple of months, it was super exciting, super fun. Sex was great. It was amazing. Oh my God. A year in, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Because all of a sudden, We're not having as much sex. All of a sudden, she's not Googling over me as much. So guess what happens? That feeling wore down. Now I am forced to look at the real person. And I'm no longer looking at them.
You weren't in love. Listen to what I'm saying.
I initially thought, that's what I'm saying.
You loved her.
Initially in that temporary feeling. See, here's what happens. Then you meet somebody. Right? You still have those initial emotions where you're rushed by them. You're in love. Oh my God, this is amazing. And then the time passes, right? And now it's just you and them. You're not having sex. Well, all those things that happen with every other relationship. But you look at them and you're like, wow, I still want you to be part of my life. I still care if you eat. I still care if you're healthy.
That to me is being in love. That to me, when you can, okay. I had a conversation earlier this morning, and then throughout a couple of weeks.
Sensible says you love them, but you don't like them. Yes, exactly.
Wait, listen. I had a conversation with a friend who's been with his wife for 30 years. Okay. And we went through a bunch of, questions and things that, he's been struggling with. And I was like, my question was, why don't you leave her? You've been struggling with this for about 10 years now. Why don't you leave her?
Because I love her.
Because he fell in love with her. And and through that process of falling in love.
He's not in love with her. That's the thing. That's what you're not getting. He's not in love with her. He's not in love with her. He doesn't even like her that much right now. But he knows that he doesn't want to live without her because he loves her.
Because he's in love.
No. In love is the high. That's what I'm trying to explain. In love is the high.
That's your interpretation.
And according to I'll put some link to some books down below that agree with me. But that's
to me, falling in love with someone means that I have now gotten to the point where I love you to the point where when I don't like you as much, I can still work through this because I'm in love. I'm invested. I'm in it for the long run.
You're saying it right there. You're doing exactly what I was hoping you would do. You fell into the trap. Okay. You just said it. Listen to me. You said I. It's what I want. It's what I feel. No. It's the way and that's where love separates itself. That's where love separates itself. Love stops being about I. It stops being about I. The minute you go from in love, when you're in love, it's all about I. When you fall out of love, it's about you. Oh, okay, wow. You. How much I love you. What I can bring to you. What can I do for you? Oh, you know what? I don't like you right now, but you know what I do know? I do know you're hungry. I do know I don't want to see you sick. I do know all those things, but don't touch me because we're not having sex. You know what I'm saying? It's basically you, and Yubase says, yeah, exactly. When you're in love, it's a selfish motivation. It's I love you because you are this for me. This is what you are to me. This is what you do for me. This is how you make me feel.
No, that's not true. That's you twisting the conversation. Okay? No. It's about because you have no control over what anybody else feels. The only control that you have is your ability to act in this, right? Hopefully, right? When you're going through these moments, that person that you have brought into your life and who has brought you into their life has the same level of comprehension when it comes to being in love. Okay, we fell in love and we committed to one another.
So what happens when you fall out of love?
I don't believe in that concept of falling out of love. I believe in things changing. I still love my
What do they change to? What do they change to? You're making my argument. I don't know if you understand that.
No,
you said
you're not.
They go
you
from
like
being
to turn things around to make things your argument.
I just asked you.
But that's
they
not
go from
true.
Being in love, what do they turn to? What do they go to?
They go to being
so
part
you
of
fall
themselves.
out of love. So if it goes,
it's not.
If it goes from in something,
and I'll give you a perfect example.
That means it goes out.
Example. My ex-husband pisses me the hell off, right? There are times where I'm just like, oh my God. but I still love him. I don't ever want anything to happen
But he's
to
your
him.
ex-husband.
Wait. But the reasons why we separated was because our lives were running parallel, okay? And that's where I understand. Okay, if your lives are running parallel, love each other enough to separate. Love each other enough to go your separate ways.
No.
It doesn't
And
ever
that's where
mean
we'll
that you're going to
disagree.
stop loving the
And that's where
person.
we'll disagree.
I never want anything bad to happen to you. I never
I'm
want
not
anything.
saying your case. I'm not saying in your case.
Listen, but a
in
lot
this-
of people are like that. Look, I'm going to give you another example. I know a couple who had a super horrendous, nasty divorce. Okay. And when I talked to her and I talked to him, I'm like, why didn't you just, separate and never talk again? I still love her. I don't ever want anything to happen to her. I'm just not
Right.
in love. Right. Okay, fine. You're not in love. And my argument is, the reason why you can't let go is because you still are in love with that person, but you're giving them enough space to move on with their life. My idea of falling in love with somebody doesn't have an end. When I say those words, that's the reason why it takes me such a long time to get to that level, to get to that emotion.
You're contradicting yourself because you're saying that. No, listen, if you're okay, just follow me on the concept. I said, if you're in love, what happens when it changes? Obviously, you were saying that it's no longer in love. Now it's something else, right? So that means it's out of love. Let me hear me out. Now it's out of love.
Love the person.
Now here's the thing. Where you say, love me enough. Well, here, how about this? There's people that love each other enough, right? Where when they hit those hardships, they go a year, they go 2 years, they go 3 years with those feelings. They go 5 years. But you know what? In the 6th year, they bounce back. And all of a sudden, they're in love again. And all of a sudden, they're back. And their life is great again. And they're happy. And what they understand that a lot of people don't understand. I once saw this meme, right? And it said,
I think you're getting confused between being in love and being connected.
What is the difference? What is the difference between marriage today and marriage years ago? He said, years ago, if my watch broke, I would take it to get fixed. Nowadays, if your watch breaks, you buy another watch. Okay? When you love someone, you just don't go buy another watch. See, when people get divorced, it's because the love is gone. Not because the in-love feeling is gone. Because the love is gone. Because you can navigate, like I said before, the in-love feeling, all right, is where the happiness is. That's the vacation, the euphoria, the great sex. The downturn, when you're out of love, that peak and the valley, that's where you learn the lessons. That's where couples, right? The good couples, what they do is they go through their valleys and they recognize how they got there. They recognize what they went through. They recognize how being a team helped them get past it as opposed to working individually, right? And you know what they know? They know that the next time they hit a valley, they have the recipe to get out of it. They know it's going to take time. They know that it'll pass. They know they don't want to see their life without this person. I still love you. I love you regardless. And we're going to keep it moving. We're going to keep working. I'm not saying that people don't love each other and break up. Yeah, that happens. But for the most part, the people that stay together for a long time, it's because they have that underlying feeling. Even when they don't feel lovable, even when they don't feel the love coming out of them.
In their relationship, they fell in love and they see the value. I think you don't understand is there's a difference between in love and being connected. There are times during marriages that you feel disconnected from your loved one.
Right.
Okay. You feel disconnected, but that doesn't change the fact that you at one point fell in love and you love them. You're in love with them. During that time of disconnection, if something happens to you, I would die. I would something, catastrophic would happen in my own, world and life.
The rate of divorce is 50%. Yet the rate of divorce is 50%.
But not every divorce is being divorced because of.
No, we're not going to deal with outliers. We're dealing in what's going on, and what's going on is that the number is 50%, or even close to it. And the point being is this: we cannot sit here and discuss that. You're basically telling me oh, it's disconnect. Yeah. Do you still love them when you're disconnected? Do you still want to be with them when you're disconnected?
Listen,
That's
if
the
you don't
point.
love them, if you don't love them when you're disconnected, that means you never loved them at all. Okay, you never loved them at all. When you talk about fall, because if you took the proper steps and the time, okay, to get to know this person, know their likes, know their dislikes, know what they're about, whether they're a humanitarian person, whether they're not, okay, if you didn't take the time to know this individual and fall deeply in love with them, okay, then that's not love. What you're talking about is just.
You see, I can't agree with you again. You know why? Because you're gonna love people at different stages in their life. You're gonna love them differently. The person you fell in love with 20 years later is usually just
in love with 20 years later, right?
Not,
the person that you fell in love with
is usually not the same person 20 years later. You're different people. You've grown. You've had experiences. You're not the same person.
Human nature, okay.
Right. You're not the same person. So if I fell in love with this person and you're not that same person, what carried me all the way through? The fact that I learned to love you at each stage in your life. It's like a child. You loved Andrew when he was 5, the same you love him now at 23. Okay? You're going to love him at 23, the same you love him at 45.
You cannot
right?
compare oranges to apples. Your children are one thing and...
No. It is a comparison because you look at your partner, and when they were young, you loved them because they were strong, they were virile, they were this, they were that. Now they're 45, 50 years old. They can't move as fast. They're not doing as much. But why is it that you still love him? Because you watched him overcome. You watched him push. You watched him work. So there's different reasons for loving him. You know what I'm saying? For loving him.
And I think what you're describing is idealistic. I think what you're saying is exactly what the internet is offering. Oh, I'm going to offer you a bunch of people on the internet and who kind of meet the qualifications, and we're going to date for 6 months to 7 months, a year, and we're going to call that love. No, that's not the way it works. Love works over time. It takes years for people to get to know each other, to really deepen connections, to create synergy within the
We're not disagreeing on that. I don't see how that's a comment. We're not disagreeing on that part.
And then that is what is being in love. Okay? I have now taken the time to discover who you are, and I have fallen in love with the person that I now know. Okay? Now, once you fall in love, okay, you don't fall out of love with that person. Unless drastic things happen where the guy's been cheating on you for whatever. And then, now you got to, love yourself a little bit, right?
Have you ever gotten over somebody you were in love with? I have.
Every person that I have ever dated holds a special place.
That's not what I'm asking. Stop dodging the question. What I just said, have you ever gotten over somebody that you were in love with at one point?
They moved to the category of loving them. I still love them, but I'm not in.
I asked you a question. You talked about in love, right? Mm-hmm. We're not talking about love. We're talking about love. Have you ever moved on from somebody you were in love with? And now you look back and you say to yourself, damn, I never knew how that happened. That wasn't even, that's not even who I am anymore.
Okay, I have been so in love with people, with men in my life, that I have been willing to let them walk away so that they can pursue their own destiny.
That's not the answer to the question.
That's love. Am I still in love with them? Of course. It doesn't, how can I tell you? I'm in love with them for the person that they were in my life.
Well, you, because there's people that I dated that I thought I loved, then now I look back and I was like, yo, shit would never happen again on earth.
Would you wish ill upon them?
Yeah, but I don't wish ill upon anybody.
No, you wouldn't wish ill upon, like I still love you. I still, I think, I still love the person that I met.
I wish you well.
I don't know. I haven't had any dramatic experiences
I wish you well.
Either,
no,
so I don't know.
I'm not talking about anybody that I had a bad breakup with. I'm talking about people in my life that came into my life for a season. I was head over heels for them. They were the most amazing thing. At that moment, I evolved, I changed, I grew, I moved on. And now I look at them and I'm like, yeah, no. You know what, though? I'll tell you this much. When you fall in love, right, that can happen. Then you fall out of love, you grow.
I don't believe in falling.
But then you meet somebody, right, where you love them and you're like, yo, even if I'm not with you, like you said, even if I'm not with you, I will always love you.
That's being in love. That's being in love.
That's love. That's not in love.
You fell in love with that person and you still hold them to high regard. Okay? You still hold them to high regard.
No,
I fell in love with you and the person that you were and what the significance that you had in my life, okay? That I can't even conjure up the emotion of disliking you or hating you. I just wish you well. See, I love you. I'm in love with you.
Just like Ceci Cornelius said, the opposite of love is not hate. It's indifference. So if I can feel indifferent about you, so look,
that's not feeling indifferent. You're not listening. I'm never saying that I feel indifferent. I'm not saying. I say I'm looking at your life and I'm happy that you have moved on. I can't because I took the time once upon a time to fall in love with you. I cannot conjure negative emotions about you. Lift yourself up. Go and live your life, live your destiny. That is because at one point I fell in love with them. If I never fell in love with them, guess what? Bye-bye, see you later.
Say that to the woman that got cheated on. Say that to the woman who got crushed. See, it doesn't work. It doesn't translate. What you're saying, it doesn't translate.
Of course it translates.
There's a world of difference. See,
Mike, too many people are falling into superficial love. Okay,
that I don't agree with. I don't disagree with.
And they're not investing the time that I'm talking about, the energy that I'm talking about, to fall in love, deeply and truly in love with somebody, to the point that you're willing to let them go because you have at some point in your life maybe realized that you don't have the abilities to make them happy. You understand what I'm saying? That's selfless. That's selfless love. I am so deeply in love with you and the person that you are, that I am willing to, have a separation and still continue to love you and want you to be successful and want you to be everything that you can be. Because at one point in my life, I fell in love with you. You understand? There's a huge difference. This is what society is conjuring. I love you. 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 Okay? Yes, I love what you're doing with your podcast. I love that you're my brother. I love a lot of different things. But in a couple, that takes effort.
Yes,
that takes effort.
It takes love.
And it's going to take a while for me to fall in love with you and then ultimately put you in that category of somebody who has impacted my life. You get what I'm saying? Like,
I meet you. I decide you have a place in my life. I get to know you. I fall in love with you. Okay? I fall in love with you. And then, like I always say, show me your darkness, your light. Then all of a sudden, you show me that dark part of you that takes a long time to come. Because they say you love someone when you see them happy, sad, or distressed.
Then you didn't take the time to get to know that person. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. If you get to a point after the fact that you have fallen in love with a human being, and now you're realizing that this person is a MF, then you didn't take the time.
You literally just insulted a million women that have shitty baby fathers. You just insulted a million people that have been in shitty relationships because they thought they were in love. You just insulted a bunch of women or a bunch of men that were with somebody that got their time wasted because they thought that person was somebody, right? Felt infatuated in love with them. And then to realize that's not who they were. You can't do that.
Listen to me.
You can't do that.
Listen to me. No, I didn't. Okay? Because that's not who I was talking to. Okay? I'm talking about two people, two people who are falling in love with each other, right? You're going through the process, you're going through the motions, you're going through this beautiful experience together of getting to know each other. Okay. And when I tell you there are extreme circumstances that could potentially make you fall out of love with somebody cheated on you, somebody left you with, with children, those are extreme circumstances that can contribute to you having a different kind of emotion towards somebody.
I'll give you a better example. When I was in a relationship I was in a long distance relationship. And while I was in that long distance relationship, I fell in love. In that long distance relationship.
You didn't
Under those conditions, I was in love. I was head over heels. Holy shit, this is dope. Then
okay, I'm gonna tell you
you gotta let me finish talking though. Then we got together and I realized, holy shit, I don't love you.
But you're proving my point because you didn't get the time. You didn't take the time. You needed a little bit more time with that person.
You're making a different point than the one I'm making.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you, falling in love is a process. Falling in love it has different steps.
And you people evolve do at different rates, and different things will show you that there are people that fall in love at first sight. There's people that fall in love over the phone they've never met. There are people, see, those conditions that you're putting up are your way of kind of blocking my argument. But the truth is, there's so many people that fell in love with Yubi before we ever sat in front of each other.
You've known Yubi since you're in the 5th grade.
No. Let's get it right. We knew of each other. We kind of knew each other. We weren't like buddy. Okay, so let's not do that. My point being is, before we ever got in front of each other, there was something there. It was like, oh shit. But we both said to each other, let's see if we do love each other. This euphoric feeling, let's see if it's backed up by substance.
Exactly.
Love is the substance. Love is the substance. In love is the fluff. Love is the substance.
That's not the fluff. That's not the fluff. Taking time, going slowly, getting to know each other, that's the fluff?
That's how you get. That's where you get that underlying love. See, time, trust, sacrifice, experience.
I just think that's when you get to the point.
You can fall in love with somebody way before they ever prove who they really are. You can fall in love with them way before they prove who they are to you. It's happened. I've seen it. You can see somebody talk about, oh my God, I love this person, only to be disappointed when they realize who this person really is.
Because you didn't. Okay, this is what I'm saying to you. Okay.
Whether they took the time or not, it happens.
Let me tell you, a friend of mine came to me one day and said, my girlfriend and I have been dating for a year and I'm thinking about getting engaged. And I said, are you in love with her? Oh yeah, I'm in love with her. And we started going through all of the steps, right? And it's not about doing this and doing that. Okay, no. Have you seen this emotion? Do you know what she's like when she's mad? Have you seen her around her pants? Or what justification, right? For the sake of of helping you and having this conversation, what justification do you have to say that you are in love with her? If this person died tomorrow, right? What would it do to your world? Like if this person showed you today that she's actually mean to animals, if this person showed you some kind of flaw in their character, how would you feel about it? And the answer was, I don't know. Okay, so then that tells me that you're not in love yet. You still have a little bit of a stretch to go to get to know this person in order to get to that level, to fall deeply in love with someone.
Love, right here. Look, I'm looking it up right now. In love. In love. The description is in the moment. The description of in love is in the moment. It's in the moment. That's exactly what it is.
Well, you know what? We need to write to Webster Dictionary. We need to change that.
In this moment, you make me feel this way. In this moment. Now, what happens when you can't make me feel this way anymore? Do I fall out of love? No. I find reasons and I look deeper into
You're
you
still in
to
love,
understand
but you
why you're valued. Why? See, I'm in the moment and I see you and I say, okay, what happens when you cannot make me feel the way you make me feel? Okay, you know what? I look at you and I examine you and I say, okay, you know what? These are the flaws. I can work with them. I love those. It's okay. Those are within my limits of flaws I can handle. This is how he gets when he's hungry. That's how he gets angry. You know what? He can't walk like he used to. You know what? He's not making as much money as he used to, or he's not doing this as he used to. You know what? But this is the soul that I love. I love this person.
I'm in love.
And you know what? And you know what? In a couple of months, in a couple of years, maybe he'll get out of that depression. Maybe somebody died. Maybe he gets a new job, and all of a sudden, his emotions, and he has a semblance of the guy that I fell in love with. Okay, cool. Now I'm back in love. But guess what? As long as that underlying feeling of love is always there, that's what you lean on when shit gets hard.
You at one point fell in love with the human, in love with that person. I don't think that you can get to those points where, okay, to me it's you fall in love and you become disconnected. And then you either do things or the universe brings you back and creates synergy again. Okay? But you have to have fallen in love with that person to even be able to tolerate those times of conflict and confusion and whatever else you want to call it. You have to have taken the steps to fall in love with them.
Okay, Ceci agrees. She said, falling in love is a deeper feeling than love. You can fall in love through conversation and time, going through hardship over time. You can love someone on a shorter period of time, and because you have a good time together, or because sex is great, or because you share things in common. Right. And we're agreeing to disagree. What I'm saying is, yes, while all those things are great, you can love somebody. But what happens when those things are gone? What happens when all those feelings are gone? They can no longer make love to you.
Why is love conditional? Why are you making love conditional?
That's what I'm saying. Love is the part of it. Love is the part of in love that's not conditional. The in, coming in and out, that's conditional. That's depending on the moment. That's depending on what's going on.
I think that we are going to agree to disagree because men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And whenever you talk about ins and outs, okay, you guys get all emotional. All I'm telling you is when, to me personally, and a lot of people that I know, okay, falling in love is a deep, deep, deep connection that you make with another human being that is part of a process. Okay, I can love you today. I love the person that I'm, with. I love that person, right?
You never answered the question.
Right? Like whatever. I love that person. I love my best friends. I love the people that I have around me. I love them. Okay, it would affect me if something happened to them. But then to signal out that one individual who has a deeper meaning, who satisfies every other, sexual, mental, spiritual, everything, I have to take the time to fall in love.
What happens when they can't? What happens when they're 90 years old and they're a shell of the person that they once were?
Then you take care.
What do you lean on?
Then you.
And you never answered the question.
What about those people whose spouse becomes senile and doesn't even recognize them, and they stay by their side?
And they say, you know what? I love them. They love them. I love them. That's what they say. They don't say,
because at one point in their life they fell in love. They're
not currently in love with the situation, but they love that.
No, we're not talking about situations. We're talking about being in love. The process of falling in love with someone. And I think that is what's going wrong with society. It is a process. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in a year. Maybe in some cases, I don't know, you're at warp speed and it happens. It takes actions and over time and a whole slew of things and emotions and situations that have to happen for you to fall in love with this person. And now for the rest of your life, hopefully, if something goes wrong with them, you will be there. You will be there.
But
you will be there.
You just said walk away. You said walk away before. You said, oh, if they can't do that, then it's better. I just want to see them and walk away. What is it?
Listen, no, there's 2 points of views there. If you are with someone whose life is going in a different direction than yours, love them enough to let them go and walk away. Okay. But if you're with somebody who's ridden by illness, okay, like, you know, they become senile and they have dementia, right? And you have fallen in love with this person, then you follow it through because you have taken the time and the effort to fall in love with this human being. And even if their mind is absent, you still have those feelings and emotion towards them, which makes you want to help them and be there forever. That's called have fallen in love with somebody. At one point, love to me doesn't come and go, doesn't come and go. I love you today, but you messed up and I'm going to be pissed off at you. No.
I'm not saying that, but there's couples that for a fact didn't like each other for 2 and 3 years. There's people that are just, all you got to do is have conversations. That's all it is. Have conversations. Just talk to them. Have conversations and they will tell you, yo, look, man, we went through a rough patch for like 2 years. I couldn't stand them. We didn't even sleep together. You'll hear that all the time. You hear it so much.
Because at the end of the day, you fell in love and you were committed to that relationship. You fell deeply in love with that human being.
The love. The commitment is the love. You're in love is the euphoric. It's the high. It's everything is good. Then you take relationships go like this. They naturally go like this. They're gonna go up, and you guys were great, and then you hit a slump, and it got down here. And when you're up here,
when you have fallen
we were in love, and then you're here, and you guys can't stand each other. But you know what? You figure it out, and you look at each other, and you say, you know what? I'd rather be in this fight with you. I'd rather be with you than alone.
I'm in love with you. Because I'm in love with you. Because I'm in love with you, I'm willing to go and jump over the hurdles. I'm willing to climb the highest mountain. I'm willing to do all of the things because I'm in love with you and I've made a commitment to you to stick this through.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna say, hold on a second. Let me see if I can bring somebody in that wants to come into the conversation. Let's see if I could do this. I just put the link in the chat. If you want to log in, you could log in and maybe have a conversation, add to it. We got a few minutes left. We got about a good 5-6 minutes left. And if you can chime in. If not, then we won't be able to have you on this time around. Just want to give a couple of thank yous. I want to thank Sudi Shea. Thank you for buying the book. Appreciate you. Love you. Thank you very much. Frankie Fawcett, thank you. Thank you for purchasing the book. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you, Michelle, for plugging the book.
Yes, Meech. Thank you for plugging the book at your event. I appreciate that. Definitely. All right. Hold on a second. Let's see. Nah, I don't think they'll be able to come up. Maybe next time. Maybe next time we'll set it up where we could have a guest come in and chime in. There's somebody that was contributing that wanted to come on in. But yeah, it's a good conversation to have. I think that we agree that love is something that takes time. Love is something that love is something that takes time. It takes sacrifice. It's not coming easy. It's not coming right away. And it's something that I always say. It's one of my things that I love. Oh, we had a little comment here. Hold on a second. Love endures. Love comes and goes, even in the same relationship. Absolutely. You're going to have your highs. You're going to have your lows. Your highs are when you have the fun and the happiness. The lows is when you learn your lesson.
But I don't lessons and you're able to love. I still call that being in love.
And hold on a second.
Love enough to see it through.
Love, right, is something I always say. Love doesn't come in like a hurricane. It comes in like a quiet storm. Love is something that when one day you look up and you don't understand how you got there. Because love is not about seeking it.
We do
It's not
understand.
about chasing it. It's not about building it. Love is about becoming who you're meant to be, becoming whole, understanding what you lack in your life, whether it's financial, spiritual, emotional, physical, whatever it is that you're lacking in your life, whatever it is you're missing. Love is about becoming whole. Once you're whole, that's what you attract. The universe is literally just waiting for you to become that person, to work on yourself, to learn the lessons through the heartaches, through the pain. All those things are lessons that are like coal in a fire or under pressure. It's building it to create that diamond little by little. And what you have to do is the day you accept that and you become whole, that's the day somebody just walks into your life. And they don't walk into your life talking about, I love you, you're amazing, let's kiss, let's hug. They walk into your life and they kind of slide into these gaps that you had, that you didn't know you had. These little pieces that were missing, and they just feel them naturally. You don't have to ask for it. You don't have to look at them and demand it. You don't have to request the time. You don't have to do anything. They just kind of naturally do it. You could be in an empty room, and as long as they're there, the room feels full. Or you could be in a crowded room, and if they're not there, the room is empty. You know, they're the person that when you hear good news, that's the first person you want to talk to and you want to share it with. When you hear bad news, the same thing. When you're ready to cry, that's the shoulder that you want to cry with, right? And when you're in a gutter or when you're in a battle and you look to your left or to your right, that's the person that you want to see in the trenches with you. And that, we could agree, is the most beautiful thing that life has to offer, and that is love. You can live by yourself. You can be happy by yourself. But at the end of the day, in the words of Maya Angelou, have the courage to trust love one more time and always one more time. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been your boy Dropping Dimes and MyaVibez. Thank you for joining us for the Hopeful Romantic Podcast. Please like, share, comment, discuss this with your friends. Let us know what they think. Pass this on. It's good content. It's good information. We have one closing comment from Gina. When you are at a point that our spouse or partner drives you insane, you may go through periods when you are not in love with them at all, at that moment. And by moment, I mean someone's mobile at a time. But because you have them and make that commitment, it makes you stay and work it. And with that, thank you, Gina, for your comment. We really appreciate it. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here.